Deus Ex Mankind Divided is one of the best immersive sims I've ever played. Yet, if someone were to list their favourite games of the previous generation, or the 2010s, very few would mention Mankind Divided. Now, there are of course reasons for this. Square Enix typically have unrealistic sales targets for a lot of their games, and Mankind Divided didn't reach that target. There's also the complete fuckery that they pulled with the ending. That sequel baits you so hard, then refuses to drop a sequel, then leaves. But that aside, this is one of the outright best games of the previous generation, and here's why. So, the immersive sim stuff in this game is just off the charts. I always love it when games allow you to pick random objects up and move them. Not only can it be fun, even when it's pointless, but in games like Mankind Divided, it can reveal secrets. In Mankind Divided, it's usually a vent that will take you exactly where you want to go. This game does, including its DLC, rely heavily on vents. They're everywhere and a bit of a cheat code. But the beauty of an immersive sim is you don't need to do this. You can tackle each obstacle in a multitude of ways that best fits the way you want to play. You of course could, in theory, just run and gun through the game, decimating each enemy in your path. I would call you a psychopath for doing so, but you can do it. There are abilities you can purchase that will aid you in doing so. I don't think you'd be getting the most out of the game, but the game gives you the tools to do that if that's how you wish to play. But in doing that, you would be depriving yourself of one of the best stealth games out there. The stealth mechanics are second to none. Sneaking through levels without being seen provides a thrill like no other, and utilising your skills and equipment to ghost past enemies provides a strategic and tactical element that most games that attempt such a thing could only hope to replicate. You can also hack your way through the game if you like. There are often doors that will be locked unless you can find a code, in which case you can play the simple yet stress-inducing hacking minigame. But let's say, for example, you can't hack the door because you haven't upgraded your hacking skill. You can search for a keycard, you can search for a code somewhere in a file, you can find a crack in a wall or a vent to sneak round, you can eliminate enemies in the hopes one of them will have the pocket secretary with the code on it. I have just given you one scenario and then like 4 methods of completion. The freedom this game offers in regards to how you progress is only really rivaled by the excellent Dishonored series. Coming back to this game for the first time in years, it became more apparent than ever that the Deus Ex games do have a pretty unorthodox control scheme. You can always change it, but you only need to play for like an hour before everything just clicks beautifully into place. I can't imagine playing the game with a different control scheme. It just works so much better this way. The cover mechanics just make sneaking around feel so much more satisfying. The skill tree is also just absurd. There's plenty of abilities to choose from, so you can best figure out how you wish to play. There's experimental abilities that are stronger than regular abilities, but to ensure you don't overcharge, each time you choose one of these, you need to permanently delete one of the regular ones, closing it off forever. Some of these experimental abilities are as simple as remote hacking, which is very useful, or even AoE attacks, non-lethal or otherwise, which are also very useful. The best part about the upgrades though is how the game actively encourages you to have fun with them. They're not stingy with the praxis kits, which you use to upgrade. You can just find plenty of them lying around if you explore the levels a bit, and you level up quite quickly to unlock more that way. They want you to experiment with the tools they've given you. They're confident enough in their level design that they know you'll have fun with each ability, so just go nuts and pick what you want. I managed to beat the game without killing a single enemy, just like I did with Dishonored 2 back in the day, and whilst all avenues are open, I do think this is the best way to play the game. I also did this for all 3 DLCs, which are excellent, and I may consider doing a video on those in the future. Refusing to kill any enemies adds another layer on top, and you even get a trophy for doing so. I, however, didn't get the trophy for beating the game without setting any alarms off. I'm not God. As incredible as I think this game is, it ain't perfect. The story is a real mess. It's one area where this game truly falls apart. The base narrative has a fairly intriguing core narrative of trying to hunt down these sort of cyber terrorists, and there's a lot going on in the background in terms of themes and org hate and stuff that could have been explored a lot better. There's a fairly intriguing element to this, but it isn't explored nearly as well as it could have been. There's also a bunch of characters that seem like good enough characters, but all of their screen time is just nowhere near enough for them to develop properly or truly shine. Adam Jensen aside, obviously, the whole story just seems pretty uninspired, which is a real shame because, as I mentioned earlier, the abuse against orgs is something that really could have been explored and related to real life beautifully, but it just isn't here. Also, compared to Human Revolution, another great game by the way, character interactions are very trimmed down, which is a shame because it was one of my favourite aspects of Human Revolution. Then, there's the ending. I don't agree when people say it feels unfinished. The game does have a clear ending. It doesn't feel like it's building up to a third act as some people claim. It feels like it's setting up a sequel, which it does, but unfortunately that sequel just never came. I also had an issue this time around where any time a character speaks to Adam outside of a cutscene through his little earpiece thing, the audio just would not come through for like the entire game. No idea why this happened, but that's a major issue that would have been borderline game breaking for me had I not already played the game before. But this shouldn't tar what is an otherwise incredible game for being remembered as such. The pre-launch monetization was also a shit show, but again, the actual game itself is fantastic. There's also some really good DLC, as I mentioned before, that often goes on sale dirt cheap, so you should always consider getting that if you enjoyed the main game. Deus Ex Mankind Divided is one of the best games of the 2010s and the previous console generation. I really hope we get a new Deus Ex game someday, but unfortunately, I'm not holding my breath. But that is all for today. If you enjoyed the video, then please consider leaving a like, as that would really help me out, and if you want to see more videos like this one, then you could always subscribe. But that's all for now. Have a nice day, and goodbye.
We call it the throat. And sometimes those get cut, yes? When outsiders come wandering in where they should not.